Nintendo just dropped a bombshell at their latest Direct event. From a brand new Mario Kart open world to game-changer features like game chat on the new Switch 2, here's everything you missed and why this might be the most exciting Nintendo launch in years. Let's begin. I'll start with what most of you are really here for. The Nintendo Switch 2. Launching on June 5th, Nintendo announced a fairly long list of hardware upgrades for the new Switch, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet for you. So, we got a 7.9 inches HDR screen, up from the old 6.2 inches 1080p resolution from 720p and up to 120 frames per second gameplay in supported titles. And of course, you get 4K resolution when the Switch is docked. Speaking of the docker, we got some extra fans built in now to keep your Switch cooler while you are gaming. Audio-wise, you get 3D audio from the built-in speaker and the built-in mic with noise cancelling capabilities for when you're playing with your friends. What I really liked here is that both of the new Joy-Con 2 controllers can be used as a mouse in some games. The storage also got a considerable upgrade. The Switch 2 now has 8 times the storage compared to the first generation, 256GB versus 32, and also supports the faster microSD express cards. Unfortunately, they dropped the support for the older microSDs, but hey, at least you can still play some of the original Switch games. We'll talk more about games in a second, but first, there's two things I really want to cover on the software side, and that's game share and game chat. If you haven't figured it out yet by the extremely obvious names, very creative Nintendo, game share lets you, well, share a copy of a game with up to 3 other friends at the same time. So instead of handing them a Joy-Con or playing split screen on the telly, each of you can have a copy of the game on your own console. This feature comes in handy when you don't want the other players to know what's on your screen, like card games for example. But by far, the best thing about this is that it is compatible with the older Switches. Very, very cool. That being said, not all games will have game share, but according to Nintendo, there are several titles planned to support this feature, starting with a free update for the 51 worldwide games on Nintendo Switch, with more support to be added in the future. A final mention here is that game share will be compatible with game chat. Game chat. I wonder what that does. Actually, a bit more than you'd expect from the cryptic branding that Nintendo's marketing team got us used to for this release. Simply said, this feature lets you voice chat with your friends directly through the console, even if you're in handheld mode. The built-in mic can pick up your voice clearly, even if there's background noise. And if you want to play and video chat at the same time, you can do that too with the Switch 2 camera that's launching on the same day as the new Switch. Now, what's really cool is that you and your friends can actually play totally different games and still use game chat. And you can even compete in online multiplayer games together. What's not so cool, I think everyone saw that coming, is that you need a Nintendo Switch online membership to unlock it. Well, at least after the 31st of March 2026, because we're still getting a decent free trial from Nintendo. But you know what you don't need a free trial for? The content on this channel. Completely free. So if you've made this far in the video and want to support us, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. It really helps us a lot. Alright, now let's answer the big question. What can you play on this thing? Well, Nintendo splits the lineup into 3 main types. First, you've got the new stuff, games made specifically for the Switch 2 and built to take full advantage of the new hardware, like those here. Then, you still got a bunch of games from the original Switch that will be compatible with the new one. Then third, or more like 2.5 really, you got the so-called Switch 2 edition games. These are basically older games that are getting a bit of a glow up. Things like better graphics, smoother gameplay, and in some cases, even new ways to play thanks to the new hardware. So yeah, overall, it seems like we got some options here. I'm actually very happy to hear that they will be supporting some of the older titles too. Well played, Nintendo. And while we're at games, Mario Kart is getting an upgrade too. Nintendo announced the release of Mario Kart World, which is basically an open world version of the classic Mario Kart. So now, instead of being limited to the tracks, you can actually use the free roam mode to explore and drive pretty much anywhere on the map. And obviously Mario Kart World will launch on the same day as the Nintendo Switch 2. That is June 5th. Now, let's talk about the price, because it's quite big compared with the first edition. The price is $449 US, which is quite a big rise compared with the first generation. However, years have passed and inflation and then semiconductors and stuff like that intervened and changed the market forever. I'm not saying this is a fair price, but it could have been worse. And it will be worse after you have to pay that online subscription to unlock stuff like game chat. But what can you do? Obviously, $449 is really the MSRP. I've seen it going on pre-orders for even over $500, depending on the area, obviously. In my case here in Eastern Europe, Romania, I've seen it going for like 2,500 RONs. Yeah, that's our local currency, which is around just short of that, let's say 500, 550 US dollars, which is really not the best deal ever, but these are the prices that you have to pay. Before I move to the last bit of this video, there's one more thing I want to talk about, and that's the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. This is very cool. So this is an interactive game where you play as a tiny character inside your own console. You can explore every part of the Switch 2 hardware, and each area teaches you about a feature. It's surprisingly detailed and full of hidden gameplay mechanics, and even has some little secrets to discover during the minigames. This will, however, be a paid digital title launching on the same day as the Switch 2, and because of that, I personally don't think people will crowd to buy it. But hey, if you're a die-hard Nintendo fan or really passionate about gaming, well, they have that for you too. Alright, we talked about a lot of things now, and honestly, I think Nintendo really nailed it this time. We got all these new features on the Switch 2, good bit of backwards compatibility there, some of the older games are getting an upgrade, and they even made an open world Mario Kart now. Now, the question is, what are you most excited about? Let me know in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give us a like. It really means a lot to us. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye bye.